All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 211. So we're time for the daily update. As for the anticipated appeal, there's no new information on that. I've not worked on the store at all. As for the marketing videos, so now 2 videos, 2 of the 3 have been released. So you may have saw that video I released today. That was actually kind of just the simpler talking point. The last part has a lot more of the graphics and stuff in it. That's why it's part of the one that took me so long to get that finished. Oh yeah, and then also I worked on a shorts video today just to explain the achievement of the last release of the terminal block mining simulation game, which we will continue working on. Orthoplex 64, how's it going? Edmund 8688 says, yo, how's it going? So last night, what did I work on? Well, I made it so I kind of finished consolidating some of the event stuff. So there's actually kind of generic notifies that can go out to select the item index. So in the edge case where you have 2 of these windows open, they'll keep the selected item in sync. So that, I think, that's it for the events that I wanted to update for the other frames. I think I'll double check. The next, I think, is some of the other worker threads. Solopreneur Nightmares sends a wave. How's it going? So the change that I'll have to make so in here Right, UI event notification work item. So that inherits from UI work item. So I would not be able to put that into the work queue thread for the chunk initializer thread, because it accepts a chunk initializer work item. keep hitting my mic with my arm, making noise. Okay, that's going to compile. Will this compile? I think it will. Right, that does not crash. That's good. Good day. How close are you to the 12 billion? I'm closer than I was yesterday. I think yesterday we raised about $2. So I'd say pretty close. Although, now that I look at my event here, I think I have 2 events that are trying to do the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I need a base class called like a UI event subscriber, and then user interface frame inherits from that, and also chunkiness slasher. And it would have to, it'll have an abstract class with the handler method. Metal. Shamrock to all your endeavors. Thank you. At $2 a day, it'll only take 16,427,105 years to reach 12 billion. Well, we're one day closer toward the goal. And if you just think positive and believe in yourself, that's the key. Then it'll start to speed up in no time. And it'll take far fewer than 16 million years. Metal indeed. All right, let's fix my model inheritance. Bro, do you use artificial intelligence to fix bugs? I have not had time to actually sit down and start using AI yet. I have tried it a couple times in the past, and the results what keeps me back so far is just the like getting it integrated and stuff. I have just too many other things that I'm working on during the day that I can't once I get through those, it'll probably be like, I'd say maybe like 2 months at least before I get through all the other stuff I want, before I can actually, I've learned that Claude Code is supposed to be the one that everyone's using. It would be kind of interesting. Like the first things I think about doing with AI are not replacing what I do already, but like kind of like finding like unused imports and stuff, and like you can already do that, but more advanced aspects, things like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. PRP Lizzie says, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm doing pretty good. Slowly making progress on the terminal block mining game. Circular inheritance. Yes. You know what? I think I need like another common base class here. Assuming 2% inflation rate and that the US its dollar still exists in 16 million years, 12 billion in adjusted value would be worth 6.72 times 10 to the 137. Okay, so by that time, wow, that's quite a bit of inflation. Oh wait, that's 10 with 137 zeros after it? Is that can't be right? Seems like more than I would expect. But I guess it is 16 million years. Compounded interest would probably give you quite a sum in 16 million years. But I don't know. I guess you just gotta think positive, and it'll work out. Nice indeed. Any behind the scenes stories from the video released today? Not really, other than what's in the video. I guess I kind of forget everything I said in that video. I made it more than 3 weeks ago, and I've been just sitting on it because I know the other stuff I was doing would take a while. Yeah, probably just lots of stories that are on the same theme of like set up an experiment. You think like, hey, maybe I could do this business idea, and you put up a page and you get like 2 people who are interested, and you don't get enough sales to really get it off the ground, and so it's like inconclusive. So getting statistical significance is a really hard part of getting started. Like I think my actually I have a video on this. It's my failed Linux distribution. Back a while ago I thought it would be interesting to see if there was a model around, like when I was teaching at the college, I thought, okay, these students are spending so much money to learn there. Yeah, maybe there's a model in like making your own Linux distribution that makes it easier to learn stuff. And so I made that, and then like I was hosting some meetups around the time, so I just like mentioned it on the meetup, and then like right away someone bought a copy of my like, I don't know, course or whatever for $20, and I was like, oh wow, I didn't really even expect to get a sale so quickly. And that was like, I think one of the only sales I got from it. And then after I shut it down, like years later, someone messaged me and they're like, hey, I really want to buy this. This is awesome. What you're making? This is a terminal-based video game where you can simulate the process of mining blocks of iron ore. Actually, I guess if you check the GitHub, check the link in the description, there's a link to the GitHub, and on the GitHub I have some links to some of my videos where I explain it a bit more. I said the MVP from some book was deceptively simple. Then advertising with tools was expensive and hard to provide data for feedback. Lean startups. Okay, you're just paraphrasing the video. Yeah, I know the high level, but in terms of like expanding on specific things I said, I have to dig in my mind a bit. It was a good video idea. That video, especially breaking even, it's mostly the way business survive, by understanding breaking even is okay. Thought it was a great advice. Yeah, I think like if you want your business to succeed, you got to start thinking about the numbers and working backwards. Like just asking like for keeping all the math simple, how do you break even? And if you make certain assumptions, assume you're breaking even, and you cannot make the math work. If you're always losing money, then like it doesn't matter how smart you are or how good your code is. Doesn't really matter if you're always going to lose money. Iron ore. Yeah, I'll demo it in a sec. It's not it's not compiling right now because some of my events are messed up. Yeah, I'm realizing I think I'm going to need another class. So now we're getting all confused. I think I may actually need that class. Oh You can still have multiple classes, can you? This is confusing. I want to keep the type safety of the types messages or events, but I want to use it for two different classes. I'm wrong to assume that it's kind of like Minesweeper, but Minecraft. I guess Minesweeper is probably not a good comparison. Let's see what happens if I try to compile that. Yeah, probably more like a terminal-based Minecraft. Let's see, does it compile? All right, here we go. So yeah, we're in an infinite procedurally generated universe. You spam the M key, and that's just M key to mine, then the blocks show up in your inventory down there. It's really a work in progress. So now I'm mining up some wood and stuff. And then I can go over to my crafting menu, select a stone pick, and I press C. Actually, this is something I need to do is I need to make it so that when you actually craft, it'll just auto select it to make it a bit more obvious. So now I'm pressing C to craft. So I got I can't make any more stone pickaxes. So now, and I have stone pickaxe selected. So now it mines out to a larger radius. And it's really a lot of the work I've put into it is really about like building systems with the intention of adding lots more features in the future. So there's quite a bit of work involved in like making the it purely runs in the terminal. So that's one of the unique selling points, is that it's a game that runs in a pure terminal, and you can also run it in a pure TTY environment. So like with no graphical environment. It just changes instead of emoji characters, it renders something else. And if you have some kind of like frame buffer based, emoji font thing that works in the TTY, then the game will still work there. So it should be quite portable. Reminds me of original Zelda. Yeah, I think like currently in terms of actual content and gameplay, what you're seeing right now is about it. But the systems exist to add more support for more things. So what are the next to keep it like consistent and somewhat coherent. I'm going to focus it on adding more elements. And I may actually update the terrain generation finally to maybe make it a bit more like a bit closer to actual terrain generation. So I've added so Minecraft only has like one type of iron ore, but for this one I'll have like all of the common types of mineable iron ore. Yes, we got siderite. Let me make that bigger for you. Yeah, siderite. Chemical formula FeCO2. Limonite, which has that formula. Magnetite, which has that's that chemical. That's like the universal chemical formula for describing it, and then that's the chemical formula, or this is the substance identifier. Yeah, at the moment, so these minerals exist, but you can't like process the ores or anything. And there's currently only 4 crafting recipes, but I've done a ton of refactoring to make it so that I can very easily add new crafting recipes. Would magnetite automatically draw you to it? For its like magnetic properties, you mean? I don't know, I guess you could maybe make magnets or something in the game. But that'd be down the line. Chemical formulas, Lamau. Yeah, I mean, how could you you can't have a mining simulator without chemical formulas. Otherwise it's not a serious mining game. I mean, Minecraft is for noobs. The pros memorize all the cast numbers. Get a meteor crash in the game, and then you mine the meteoric iron. That's not something I thought about. Theoretically, that could be added to the game. I don't know if it would make sense to have it as like an event that happens with any regular occurrence. Oh, here's an ore vein. So there's also ore veins that appear in the game. So here's some other various types of ores. And one of the things I spent a while working on recently is this scrollable list menu. So it's got a dynamically sizable and printed list that you can scroll in the terminal. Yeah, that's an overview of the game. And right now, I'm trying to figure out how we should actually send these events. How do you visualize surface and underground? It's purely just text printed in the terminal. So in the map area loads chunks of the world. The game loads chunks into memory, and then it has a thin Actually, it just keeps only like 3 levels in memory. So it knows what is below the current level. And so the level underneath, I guess, let me just compile it again. Yeah, so like this area here, so that's the below area. I guess after you look at it for a while, like if you look at it as much as I have, it's obvious, but it makes sense that if you've never seen it before, you don't even know what's being represented. Okay, so the coordinates up here are significant. So that's my person. So we set x equals that, y equals 0, z equals this number. So if I go that way, I'm going up z. If I go over this way, that's z, x going down, x going up. And then if I go up, now y is going up. If I go down, then we're at y equals 0. And so that's a hole in the ground. And then if I mine that, now I'm mining 1 block there, so I can go down to my y equals -1. And so everything in the entire universe is just it's a matrix of blocks. So that there is just the wood emoji for a piece of wood. And the red squares, those are like the background underneath. And so the way it's written right now is if it's an interesting block, so if it's anything other than just a regular rock, it appears as like a bright red. So if I mine that 1 and go down into the hole, now I'm mining all these interesting iron ores and malachite and stuff. The terrain generation is just the simplest thing I could add to make it work quickly. Imagine you'll make levels, accessibility through mineshafts. Currently, your player character just like floats, so I don't have there's no concept of gravity at this point. Which I don't know. Actually, I guess that's an important part for a game, but I haven't really thought much about it. I still need to add. I need to add more systems. Actually, probably one of the next major features I'm going to try to add or do steps toward adding is some support for multiplayer. So you can actually have like a server that you host, and then multiple people can play. But there's quite a bit of to get actual production multiplayer. There's quite a bit of stuff that'll be necessary before I can get there. Yeah, if you want a sponsored block type, if you want to appear in the help menu with a block type specifically dedicated to you, I've been on shopify.robertelder.org. I have some so this one, so Cinderite, someone bought that recently. Cold Wolf Actual. And then before that there was Limonite. Sprites. So there's no sprites. Everything is emoji characters. So actually, if you run a different terminal that doesn't it doesn't have a font installed. Sorry, I almost sneezed. If you run in some other terminals, like restricted graphics environments, it can't render. So it tries to detect if the terminal might be able to display emojis, and then if it thinks it is able to, it just tries to display them, but they might be like totally messed up. But if you want, you can also specify the let's exit jar single target. So you can just tell it to go into pure ASCII mode explicitly. So this is the pure TTY restricted graphics mode. And so the only difference is it just, instead of printing the emoji characters, you just get letters. But it still works. And it works with the scroll bars too, because it's just a generic text printing. There's my ore vein. So it gets harder to see what you're actually doing in that restricted graphics mode. But like this, so this will work in a pure TTY. Look great, even at this stage. Yeah, I think it's at the point where it's the basic gameplay loop is there. And now I just need to add more crafting recipes to make it a bit more sensible. And actually, there's probably some other, maybe one thing would be like an equipment. Like right now, it's easy to get like a lot of ore. It's easy to have your inventory very, very full of stuff, and it's just I think it would be just more convenient if there was actual like frame where you can equip things, where it would I guess I should also add there's so much detail and features. I really need to add like a classing system. So even though there's only like 20 blocks or something, I need to start adding, saying like a particular type of object or block belongs to a class. So like mining picks would be one class of item. So like that would be an equipable item. And then I can add, theoretically you could even add like swords and stuff like that. Having enemies in the game would be another, or even like other kind of interactive elements, NPCs and stuff. But at this point, there's still quite a bit more like server backend type stuff that would be necessary. I do have like, there's a lot of code in the direction of supporting that, but I still need to add something. Still not quite there. Quest, text adventures. Are you referencing another existing game, or I haven't played either of those. What is the temperature? The temperature is 1. Thank you for asking. I'm getting stuffed up tonight. Okay, now we got to think about how to actually propagate these events right. Oregon Trail, never played that either. I'm gonna blow my nose quick. I'll be right back. All right. Well, he's not looking. Let's take over the stream. I caught you. All right. So my dilemma is I want to send notifications of this type. To things other than UI work items. I had a delicious roast beef sandwich with cheese, a bag of Doritos, and a pint of Racer 5. What did I have for dinner? I had some it was like a beef stew and rice stuff, and a piece of pumpkin pie. Look it up. It'll be an interesting integration if you pull it off. Yeah, there's lots of prior R and people have mentioned a lot of other like text adventure games and stuff. I'm actually a lot of the text adventure stuff I've seen. It seems to be mostly about just like reading, and like there's too much text in it. But in this thing, I'm trying to go for a bit more of like the text itself as graphics, and I think it's the fact that emoji characters, that we have so many of them now, it's kind of a unique opportunity for that particular niche. Like you could not have, like say back in 2010, you couldn't. There wasn't really a lot of support for emojis, so you couldn't really have a game that was purely just text. guess I'm going to need a whole bunch of different classes to keep this type safe. An NPC could give you a scripted quest with its own challenges and bosses, but I'd imagine it'd be hard to pull it off with generator chunks and such. It's possible if you have the systems to build it. It's very easy to come up with ideas, but the time spent to actually implement stuff is significant. Yeah, even right now I'm just kind of cleaning up. I have some stuff that already works, but it's just a rat's nest of like custom events and stuff. I'm trying to make it a bit more generic. Okay, so I think the first step will be this won't take a user interface. Thread state, or actually it'll have to take probably a different thing in addition to that. Future updates after the finished product. I understand it could take a while, but as one look out to win. Your game has much potential for those who are interested in the bare bones of coding and game design. Yeah, that's another reason why all the game source code is totally available. So that way, like if you could just want to clone this and run it yourself, or make your personal modifications. Although you can't play the game unless you comply with the license, which means you have to pay me at least $1 through some method, through channel membership, or if you buy a sponsored block type. Pylo EXP says hi. How's it going? I always forget how to spell receive. REC. RECEIVE. Right, that's one step in the right direction, I think. Bro is creating a matrix. Yeah. That's the simplest model. Let me think. I think I'm going to delete that. Maybe I should just have it implement an interface. That won't work. I will, but I'll have to have more code. Oh, maybe what I can do. Maybe we just have a work item that contains a work item. It takes it into its constructor. I think that'll work. And then I just need to, that way I get my type safety. But I do still have to make another similar I guess I could just have a wrapper function that yeah. All right. Now to fully make that generic, I'm going to need like a wrapper function, which actually will be pretty easy, I think. All right, this has become much more complicated than I wanted. But let's see if it compiles. That's right. So my specific. Yeah, this one. Raw type. That's fine. This is becoming way more complicated than I wanted it to. How was it actually going to compile? Nice. I was getting so deep into that. I almost thought I was just abandoned and all. Okay, that was crazier than I thought, but I think this approach will work. Okay, so the next step will be this thread will need to extend Rust fanatics would tell you to rewrite this in Rust. They already do. Oh man, my names are getting crazy. Chunk initializer, work item, event notification, work item. It's crazy, but I'll probably just use that to keep things consistent. So that's going to be just like UI work item, event notification work item. Going to take this. And with any luck, this will just compile without error. Oh, actually, I got to implement something. The name has work item twice. Even your work items have work items. Yep. Yeah, I had. So I want a couple things. One is I like the idea of having. Type safety on the work items, so that way I don't send a work item to a different thread that can't process it. Yeah, that doesn't make sense because and they kind of have to, because every work item has an associated thread state, and the threads are literally different. So there's the different type of object, like for all the user interface frames. All the work is done in a generic way. So it's like change the size, print this, reprint yourself. So if I'm executing the work item, it doesn't need to be, from where it's called, it doesn't need to be different. But for other stuff like the chunk initializer thread, there's no resize yourself frame because it doesn't have a user interface. Okay, we get a complaint here. It's not abstract, it's not override on UI notification. That is correct, it does not. Okay, map area interface. We could just copy and paste this. I can probably also delete that second parameter on my map function. It's not used. Okay, that's not used from there. Yeah. Okay, we'll just compile. Structure, chunk initializer work item can it be applied to given types. How many total hours of your life do you think you have spent programming? Quite a few. Although I guess since I've started doing YouTube, a lot more time goes into that lately. I started when I was about 14 or so. Spent a lot of time programming assignments in school. lots of time programming, making websites and blog posts and I guess that's another thing that should be centralized. Is that actually even used? It is not. Oops. I was lucky. It's not much in that class. Okay, that's running. All right, that wasn't everything I wanted to get done. I wanted to actually make the update to send the first user interface update to the chunk initializer thread, but I think I did all the hard work tonight. And tomorrow night I'll actually start sending it. I'll look at some of the other information that I'm sending, like that the map area notify map area change. That's good. On map area change, what calls that? I guess I have another work item there. So that one's also probably a candidate for using one of these more generic methods. So I can delete those classes. Random question, what do you think about the future of data engineering? Data engineering is it's kind of a vague term. Usually people use that to describe like just using like low fidelity prototyping with like data analysis. It's like a programmer hooked up to a database, running SQL queries and writing Python scripts to like kind of glean low fidelity insights into data, and then maybe potentially build more robust data pipelines. I mean, data, job prospects of it. Every business or even non-business activity involves data in some aspects. So even as much as like automation happens, we will always be analyzing data and reading it, storing it in some form. Even if AI takes over, the AI still needs data to do stuff. So probably the like in terms of the work needs to be done on data, that will still exist, but it is also possible like that the role may change. Like if you do a course in data science or like data engineering, whatever that means, everyone's gonna have they're gonna teach you like, okay, we're gonna learn like some NoSQL database stuff and some Python things, and it's if you learn that just Python stuff, the industry might move on to something different. So that's possible. I would say in the short term, I mean, there's still lots of jobs. People say AI is going to automate all this stuff, but there's still, from my perspective, a lot of the job losses currently are related to the economy doing badly and people not having, people not being able to keep up with, and things like high immigration. That's what's causing a lot of the layoffs, and companies don't want to admit that. They want to say that it's because of AI and efficiencies, because if you say it's because our company is more efficient, then your stock goes up. But if you say we're laying people off because things are bad, then your stock goes down. yeah, I don't know if you're like planning, if you're thinking and questioning about whether you should like buy an expensive degree in it. It really depends on the details, like data engineering. Like back like more specific things, like if you talk about civil engineering or chemical engineering, you can map that to some very specific basics. But like now they're just making up like tons of engineering, like AI engineering and data engineering and chaos engineering, and like you can easily have a crazy person that just makes up a course and then attaches the word engineering to it. Anyway, but that's all I've got time for today. So we'll call it a night, and we'll pick this up again tomorrow. All right, have a good night, guys.